Great. Councilwoman Dixon says she's here. We do have a majority. Do you want to do a quick roll call and introduction, town clerk? Just
Sure,
to say what we're doing today, then when you start the recording, that way we know what today's date is, the meeting, that kind of stuff. Does that make sense?
sure. I will pull it up.
Okay.
So we are being recorded already. And a second, pull up the agenda. I think about that.
That's all right. I was like, I wanted to make sure this is a special work session meeting. I just wanted to make sure we're
Yes.
saying it right.
Yes, so this is our Town of Bladensburg budget review session on May 9th. Right now, we currently have Councilmember Blunt, Councilmember Dixon, and Councilman McBride on the line with the Chief of Police and TA Michelle Bailey Hedgepath and Town Clerk Regine Watson.
Thank you. That's great. So, council, I don't want to start too early. I know that Councilwoman Brown confirmed that she's on her way. But I did
Okay.
want to, but we had a quorum, so I just wanted to make sure that I acknowledge the quorum because just in case everything at this point is recorded because we have three members of council on the call. Um, and so just wanted to open up the meeting to officially because of that, just because of the fact that once you have three members on, you have a quorum. So we can wait for Councilwoman Brown to arrive. It's not a problem for any questions or anything to wait to do that. And if you'd like me to hold off any introductory comments, I can do that and give another 5, 10 minutes to Councilwoman Brown.
Assuming that the mayor won't be at this meeting, right?
Yeah, she said she wasn't able to make it. She had work meetings that she had to attend this afternoon.
Okay. Okay. So,
So is everybody, I guess everybody okay waiting another like 5 minutes till 3:10 to start, I guess. But I just wanted to acknowledge that we did have a quorum and have Miss Miss Watson at least preliminarily call us to order because since we have the quorum, if there's any questions, that everybody knows that we're being recorded. We're going to have minutes, and that this also will be saved and put onto the town's website for the public.
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I have nothing but time, so
Okay.
we can wait until, or we can go on, it doesn't matter.
Any thoughts from you,
Yeah.
Councilwoman McBride or Councilwoman Dixon, about proceeding or waiting?
Um, I'm fine on waiting.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
all I have
We'll
is
do.
time too.
Okay. We'll do the professor wait at least 5 to 10 minutes, give people at least 10 minutes to get here, and then we'll do that, and then we'll start up. And then I'll just start up with, where we are with the budget, the most recent budget and everything else. And you've got all this information, I think, was received by email and it was sent to the council, but it's also on our town website and posted under this meeting as well for the general public. There's nothing new. It's just more of an opportunity to ask additional questions, especially because the budget hearing is coming up on May the 12th. So I'll put myself on mute for another 3 minutes and then I'll go back to writing this letter for Rod Barnes because he asked me to get some stuff done. So I'm going to put myself back on mute and go back to writing a letter for Rod really quick and I'll be right back on. I'm looking at you so I can see.
Okay, I'm gonna go close my door.
I'm looking at my clock. It's 3:11. But if you guys see me stand up periodically, it's because my husband has the lights on a timer, and I never sit on the right place on this thing for it to ever stay on. So please, if you just see me stand up, that's what I'm doing. So um, council members, today I'm proud to talk a little bit about the proposed budget for FY26 with you today, and to answer any of your questions that you may have in regards to that budget. We spent about 6 or 7 council sessions kind of looking at different aspects of the budget. As we started off, we kind of went first through the council budget, the events budget, as the first few things. Then we went through the administrative functions. We then looked at the police and the public safety budgets. We also, in the middle of, as we met in between, we gave you updates on where we were in the FY25 budget. So you can kind of see where we're having some issues. And as we've always kind of talked about, there's kind of a structural deficit that the town is facing. Partly, we knew that we were going into this from moving from 24 to 25. And that's because we're moving from some of the ARPA funds being spent and final spending in the first half of fiscal year 25, and then some of the expenses that we've had. And also there's just changes. And I think in the budget document that we put together this year, which is a little bit more detailed than we've done in the past, has some information in regards to the fiscal and economic conditions that everybody's feeling in the country right now. As everybody says, food, like bread, gas, and like everything is more than it has been for all of us. And so a lot of those affect the town when we're looking at doing a lot of the things that we do. Cars take steel and aluminum. The gas in it is more expensive. Consumers are paying more. And as Vito likes to say, and every finance director likes to say, the most expensive thing that most towns are paying for are things that walk in on 2 legs and walk out on 2 legs. You're human beings, right? And so we've in this budget, we proposed a flattening out most of the from the standpoint of a flat budget in regards to compensation, with the exception of some administrative positions that will take a slight decrease because we're not able to have any positions that will absorb. Other departments have absorbed positions and are not funding or filling them in this year. And that's helped to mitigate some of our budget woes. It started at about 1.5 million from the very beginning, and now it's been whittled back down to, at one point it was down to 150, with some increases that we're seeing with some of our insurers and other things, where that is raised back up to it's 314. I can remember that number pretty well because it's so easy to do. But what we wanted to do today is to go page by page, line by line, or not, with the council and answer any questions that you may have. So that's my spiel. I just wanted to kind of put that out there, but I'm here to answer any questions that you may have about the budget or any line items that you still have questions on. In the document we provided, and that starts the big document, it actually starts on under mayor and council, it starts on page 18, and page 19 is the budget detail. It looks like this. I'm sorry for you. It's page 19 of your documents. And it talks about the council draft budget. And this is from April 22nd. We really haven't changed a lot since then, but those are the numbers for the council. So I don't know if it's easier if I just start and go each way. Go department by department or not, but I'm open. So I just wanted to kind of, if you need a place to start, we could start on page 18, 19.
Mines were just pretty, was question.
Mhm.
Have some questions, and just pretty much some questions about some of the line items and some of the things that I had concerns with. I first, how we got to that large deficit. How did we get there?
Right.
But it was explained a little bit, but
Sure.
Yeah, so, but I just wanted to know, how did we get, we was, cool, I know ARPA funds, I know,
Right.
um, just how did we get there
Sure.
at
I
large?
think that's a good question. So I think when we did the initial budget, when we did the initial budget estimates, we had to put in like reasonable assumptions for costs based on this year versus last year. And maybe a good way to kind of show that, and I'll try to refer you back to a page in the budget. But when we're looking at the revenue assumptions for this year, and we've made some changes to kind of give the council something to look at. I'm trying to get to the revenue. As much as people think paper is better, sometimes paper is more difficult. But when we look at, and it's near the end, it's the whole budget summary. It's on the last few pages. When we look at real estate taxes and we look at where we are versus this year versus last year, I think it's called page. It would probably be at the very end, but it looks like this. It's the draft budget revenue set statements. And when you're looking for changes from, I'm standing up to turn on my light. Okay. From just when I'm looking at let's start with what we bring in. When you're looking at our real estate taxes in 2024, we brought in $4.1 million. In 25, we brought in $4.5 million in real estate taxes. And in the proposed budget, we're asking to bring in a total of just $5,034,000. Which year over year has been an increase about 42%. And part of that is, our budget and expenses from in 24 grew because we did 24 and 25 grew partly because we did COLA increases and merit increases that actually occurred maybe in 23 over 24 and then 24 to 25. So the budget has grown steadily over the last few years. And I think Vito also did a nice like kind of comparison to kind of show how our expenses are growing over the years. Um, with that, our we've made some changes to how we do our taxing to kind of keep up with that. But again, that we can't. I think when we talked earlier about this, you can't tax your way out of it. You can't grant your way out of it. It's sort of like it is what it is. And that's why we're having this kind of structural realignment. So over the next few years, because we have, a larger staffing component, we're going to have to structurally change the way that we look at our budget and the way that we are budgeting. You went from, and I think it's really interesting, from in 20, and we don't have it on here, but from let's say 2022, right before the 2021, 22, before the pandemic, you had like a total of a $6 million budget and you've now grown to a $12 million budget. So you've kind of jumped the size of your budget over the last few years, almost doubled because you've added more services, you've added a lot of things in the last 4 to 5 years. And so when you really look at your budget deficit, it's not really that bad because you've expanded your services exponentially to where you were in 21 and 20 and 21. So to more explain it in a way that kind of makes more sense is that the town's growth has been sustainable. It's not unsustainable, it's just growing. So as it grows, you're also going to have higher deficits. Like, so when you're looking in other years, it didn't seem as bad because you had a smaller budget. You had a smaller, I almost want to say like it's a smaller box. The box is just getting bigger. So the amount of the deficits grow a little bit more because you have a little bit more infrastructure, more officers mean more cars, more public works because we added two public works people so that we can, in the last few years, so that we can kind of do more beautification. That was two more vehicles. Like, we've made incremental increases so that we can address more things. So it's not the fact that you can't necessarily afford it. It's just more the fact that to become a more well-rounded city or town, you've grown. And so I think that's the more succinct way to kind of put it, more than, let's say, what did we do wrong? Like, why are we short because there's something that we did wrong? It's because you all took opportunities during the pandemic to grow which was the right thing to do. And now you just have to realign that to deal with that growth. Does that make sense?
It does. It
And
does.
so I think it's like because a lot of times people come at budget deficits and said, "What did we do wrong? What did we spend wrong?" No, you used your money wisely during the pandemic to grow and make new services and to create new opportunities. Like the chief can tell you, and in his accomplishments section, he can show you all the things that he's done and grown over the course of the last few years to enhance the operations of the town. We've added a SAT team. We've added staff to our CID. We've added K9. Like all that happened since the pandemic. And if you look at it, you've done a lot of things. It's just now changing that structural balance to support all those new things, if that makes sense.
So I can go on to my next question.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we know that the safety is the biggest budget that we have. That's the biggest budget.
Right.
And we know the camera lights was coming in and was gonna save the whole to me budget, the whole program. The safe they will come in, they're gonna do so much, and the police would not wouldn't be on our budget so much as I'm understanding that they are now. So okay, what can you tell me how that
Yeah, I
happened with
think it's
the camera, all the
yeah.
money that the camera brought in? Why are we
So I think that the interesting part about with cameras, and I'll let the chief kind of expound on this, chief, because I know this is your area, but like from the standpoint of the overall budget, the camera money is used for public safety enhancements, right? And it really should be used for, getting LPRs, buying items that help you to expand your law enforcement. It also can be used for also public safety from the standpoint of stuff like, so we do some small public works projects with it. I think the interesting part is that perhaps it might have been sold more of a panacea, and I don't think it was sold that way. I'm just saying that I think maybe it might have been looked at as more of a panacea of helping to fund the core operations of a police department. And that's not necessarily what those funds should be used for. And Chief and I have had a lot of conversations about it. It's that what we need to do is that the town needs to have a police force or that can be funded on general fund, because it is a general fund. We have our tax rates set up to support a certain level of police coverage, and that's what we want to do, and that's what in some ways this budget starts to achieve, is that we've moved off positions that we initially started on the speed camera funds and I want to say automated traffic enforcement, because it's not just speed camera, it would be red light, and it would also be, let's say, stop sign if those are passed. So on automated enforcement, not relying on those for your day-to-day funding. And Chief, please break in if I'm getting any of this wrong. Okay. But
No, you're spot on, Michelle. We don't want there to be any misconception about the automated speed cameras pays salaries for all the police. That was never the intention of it. It is to fund the public safety aspect of buying cars, buying technology. You never want to base your automated speed camera funds on, you don't want to base salaries on revenues from any type of programs like that, because they can be gone tomorrow. So the budget was already set up to just fund the police. That the speed cameras, the automated speed camera funds really just augment the expenses for training and equipment, those things, laptops and gear for the police.
So
and as Michelle said, I'm sorry, but go ahead.
Okay, go ahead. It wasn't were you able to hire any police officers with those funds?
So we never hired anybody based on just that. What Vito did temporarily was like our ombudsman. He paid some of the salaries, those that are connected directly to speed camera, like approving tickets and stuff. And the ombudsperson, like Miss Alicia Mumford, half of their salaries were paid from speed camera.
Right, so that's,
But so we didn't just base it like if speed cameras went away, those jobs weren't lost, if that makes sense.
but the money would then go back into the, project money, into the budget. Once you don't have that money, so you relied on that money for certain things, but once the money is not there, you go back into the budget and you use that money.
So remember, you can only, with the automated speed enforcement programs, you can only keep 10% of your operating budget. So our goal is not to give any money back to the state, right? So whether we paying for training equipment or just paying salaries, but we weren't depending on it. We were just using it so that we didn't charge the town and we didn't give the money back to the state that we didn't use. So if we didn't, the state had, the thought process is you don't want to give the state back anything because they're not supporting this program one way or the other. So, they would love to have a check because I have spoken with one jurisdiction that said they gave back something like $400,000 to the state. And I don't think they really knew what they were doing when they did that. They could have found other means of using that money to support public safety. Whether you put a sidewalk in your
Right.
town, those funds can be used for that.
Yeah. And Councilwoman, to also kind of dovetail, when we purchased the yellow the painting machine that we bought to paint the curbs, we use automated traffic enforcement because that is a public safety issue. So we've used it and when we bought the flashing signs, stop signs, those were used for that. So we've been doing some of the stuff that when we update the crosswalks, those funds are used. So
right.
Mhm.
Okay, and no, I understand that, but I'm basing it really on salaries. Money was spent from the safety on salaries, which now it can't be used for salary because we don't have the money, or now we have to go into the salary.
We've had less than we thought that we were going to have for fiscal 25. So we used general fund to cover some of the salaries that we thought we might have in 20 with that we thought we might have at 25 because people have been really great drivers.
So, okay. And now it takes me with the safety part, it takes me to really my number one question is me personally having the staff salary cut to help with the budget. I'm not in if I'm I don't like that the staff have to have their salary cut, and I'm trying to find a way and how we can really fix that, because if salary cuts is not across the board with the safety, I might be over. I mean, I don't know.
Well, and I can address that because I think that what we've also done is that we've also asked public safety to absorb more costs on their take-home vehicles, which has been and that's also something that saved us close to $100,000, was that they are going to pay additional for their take-home vehicles, which in some ways is a pay reduction because you're paying more for something that you didn't pay for. So that had an overall effect on employees in the public safety division, especially officers. And so that was used as a way to mitigate cuts on their part. Also, the chief has frozen several positions, which he had the opportunity because he had some positions that hadn't been filled, and he didn't want to. I'll tell you, we argued about it because he needs officers on the street. He's frozen some positions that he could use additionally. But at this point, we've asked him to freeze them at least until December so that we can see where things are. And right now, we're probably going to have to freeze them all year. So, and for an admin, we didn't have any positions to freeze. I mean, we just don't have them. And we had an amount that we needed to give back to the budget. Everybody was taking, a portion, like public works cut has a position they can hire, and they're not hiring it. So without having to say to a person, hey, taking the share across the department and changing our hours to 37 and a half it's a much easier way, and that we will close on Fridays at 4 o'clock, I mean at noon, so that people can go home and they can actually spend some time with their family to do that. But it's not like it's a sacrifice, but it also is a sacrifice that we had to say that it's a Sophie's Choice, right? Like, that movie where you had to make a choice between your child or something else. Like, you had to make two bad choices. What's the best choice? That's the kind of choice it is. But I think it's a much better choice because it keeps our team intact. And, personally, I'm proud of it because, I mean, I'm taking the cut because I've had to lay off people and I don't want to do it.
Well, and I understand that. So right now, is fine with safety, because I'm speaking of safety because they have a lot of patrols. What about overtime? Have the overtime been cut for everyone as well?
I'll let Chief talk about it, but he's been very conscientious of overtime. Chief, do you want to add on that?
Yes. So thank you, Michelle. And I think that's a great question. So yes, we have Michelle and I and Vito have all sat down and looked where public safety can make some cuts. So one thing we can't do, and we all agreed on it, is we do have an obligation to keep the town safe, right? So we can't, if we start cutting too many positions, then you start wearing officers out, because now instead of working 12 hours, they got to work 16 hours, which means now you're also spending 4 hours of overtime where you could have been paying somebody at straight time. So when we try to keep everything balanced out, as Michelle stated, I do have positions that I have not filled. One guy, before we made the announcement, one individual had just completed his entire background process, and I had to call him and tell him, unfortunately, I can't bring you on right now because of budget constraints. Yeah. So we all in this together. So on the other side, I've always been very strict on overtime, but there's some things you can't, like if officers have to go to court, that court usually start, and it's different in Prince George's County than from where I came. Our officers are sitting for 2 to 3 hours waiting on court to get started over here because they open so late over here on this side of town. So you got an officer that worked 12 hours on midnight shift, and now he got to wait for court, and the court could take 3 more hours while they sitting in the courthouse waiting on their case to be called. So that's an unavoidable overtime expense that, we have no control over that. But in terms, I'm sorry.
So do you all do what they call comp time?
Yeah, they do comp time, but usually that's an option. And our comp time only goes up to 80 hours. Like, they can't accrue 200 hours of comp time. So it caps out at 80, and then it automatically kicks over to overtime.
Now,
I'm sorry, Councilwoman, just one. So, Councilwoman Dixon, I think she can't speak. She asked, will this affect the upcoming election with the admin staff? And it will not affect the admin staff. We will be able to do the election, and we'll be able to do everything that we're going to do. That's the reason why we did a cut in hours, but that's not going to affect our ability to do the election. We will use comp time when we can for any additional hours that we have, plus with the commission being, and I'll let Miss Watson answer that more fully, but with the commission now being actually more fully engaged with volunteers, I think we're pretty well cleared for the election. I think we're in better shape than we were last time. But Miss Watson.
Yeah, I just totally agree, Michelle. I agree. I think we have a full board of supervisor of election for ethics commission, so we should be good, and we're here. We'll be fine for our election season. No worries.
Sorry, Councilwoman Blunt. I just saw it in the chat, and I just
sent it to you. No, it's fine. No, it's fine. I don't and as far as the other,
Councilwoman Blunt, Councilwoman Dixon said, great questions, Councilwoman Blunt. So there you go.
It's, yeah, and like for the overall, and the only reason why I kind of wanted this is because at the meeting, we just started throwing out figures of what we can't do, what we can't do. And it was like, it took me by surprise. I didn't know that we were just cutting at that point. That's why I was like, wow, what can I do to even help? And it also bothered me when I thought that we had to take money from like the senior buildings, because when we do that with the other two senior buildings, the Newton Green and Parkview, um, when we take that, they won't have anything to do other than the little thing. I know they had an Easter thing at Parkview. I'm gonna set up a meeting with the other ones. They will only have the senior gathering and the senior gala as seniors. What else would they do if that money is cut? I mean, you all tired of hearing me saying about seniors, but they are bigger voters, be honest. We rely on them when it comes to a vote. We all up in those buildings, and they are bigger voters, and we have to make sure that we looking out for them. I guess I'm gonna miss the hot dogs that Chief and them usually do, go through the community. If we can't do that, just to get the community out and talk. There's a lot of things that
I mean, I think, Councilwoman, this budget still reflects us spending some of the funds that we've been using for the CAT team and for some of the community. We've actually still left some of those into the automated enforcement. So I think the one thing, and maybe the message should be, is that a lot of what we tried to retain in the budget were things that affected, that we did not want to cut, things that affected seniors and affect residents. Like the reason why there's still community events in the budget is because we're making a lot of changes and we've made these increases in a lot of the taxes that we still want to provide services. We did not cut our services that we're doing, let's say, with, landscaping and things like that, because we want the town to continue to look good. I mean, I think there's some things that we really thought about, like, could we start charging people for like garbage? No, we can't do that, because those are things that we provide. Do you know what I'm saying? And we have to maintain a certain level of service to our residents. And I think that this budget balances that in some ways. So those are the ways that we've been trying to look at it as staff. And so when we made recommendations, we didn't recommend necessarily cutting the senior buildings. I think the issue was more the fact that some of the senior buildings didn't collect the money because they weren't organized. And I think that was the reason why that cut was suggested, because they haven't collected it for the last few years. But if they do, should we say, could we find $3,000 to turn around to say if they're organized and they've got the right thing? I mean, I think we can find $3,000 someplace if that's the council's desire, because we can always bring that back to you to make that modification, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I just wanted to, those are the main things, because I really was concerned about the salaries of the staff, because you all work very hard. I mean, everyone do. I mean, the staff, I mean, Michelle, honestly, and I will say, you make us look good. And I only say that because of the past town administrators that didn't do any, I don't know if I could say what I'm saying, but I only can be honest about how I feel, and you make us look good. I mean, things are getting done, things are getting done because of you. So, and my thing, I'm only speaking on what I've seen since I've been on council. I don't know anything before I came on, but you have. So, I really appreciate you, and just looking at all of this, and again, so many things I want to say, but I can't say because I know I'm here and I just can't say. But again, I really appreciate all of you all, everything that you all do with the chief. I see all those white shirts at there's a white shirt, and I'm just just saying. So I do appreciate everyone and what everyone does, and I just wanted to know, and I just hate that any salary has to be cut, because I would hate to come on my job and all of you to have a job, coming out jobs and they say, oh no, we got to cut your pay because of this, and we can find other ways to do it. It's just that when it was going so fast about this, and I thought we should have talked about that prior to us having that open thing about what has to be cut, just that
Yeah.
we can cut this, we can cut that. So I'm like, I'm just not saying anything as I wanted to,
Right.
but I had time to think, and I just thought, I just had to say that. I just don't like that pay is being cut like this. If we could have found some other things, that's all. But again, that's all I really had I needed to say, but I wanted to say it and openly in front of everyone, not the 2-on-2, because I
Mhm.
believe whatever I say, I want to say it to everybody at one time so you can feel what I'm saying and understand what I'm saying, not just 2-on-2, go back and go back, because that's too much of that's going on. So
Yeah.
anywho, that's all I really have to say. And I thank
Councilwoman
you
Brown
all.
has her hand up. I just wanted to make sure that we acknowledge her. She has her hand up. Councilwoman Brown, I'm sorry. I wanted to make sure.
Okay.
Thanks. Yeah, and same here. And because one of the concerns I have is that with having the counts, I mean, with the administrative staff having to take, that 2.5 hours and stuff, and it's like, but we're still having events and they're still having, to work the events and stuff. And it was like, well, where can we pull, from the events, be it 4th of July or be it, I don't know, the call a bus or somewhere where we can pull from and balance that so that the admin staff can still at least get their 40 hours and don't have to take that cut, because I mean I know that the fireworks are nice, and not just the fireworks, but Port Towns Day was done for 18 years with no fireworks, but that's not just the fireworks, but because it's a nice, good, feel good thing as well. But whatever adjustments we need to make, and if it's not the fireworks, whatever, wherever we need to pull from, I don't know if it's the Boys and Girls Club or if it's the call the bus, the $60,000 or somewhere where it's making the admin staff whole and not having to, endure that 2.5 hours pay period.
Yeah, well, Councilwoman, so we've the Boys and Girls Club, we've been working with and we're trying to get a date so that we can start to have some community meetings with Maryland Park and Planning so that they can cover that under their budget. So that's no longer in our budget, and we are working with Park and Planning so that we can start to utilize that funding for that one. So I just want to answer that question first.
That's
Um,
good.
the Colobus, you know, it's I know that there are several seniors that that from some of the buildings that are using it, and it is a used service. And then we also have been working with Comar Manor, and we did receive a $27,000 grant just yesterday in regards to buying a new Cola bus, so that one, we can start to reduce the gas and also the repairs on it, so it actually can be up and actually be working a little bit better, and then also expand the service because but to all the port towns. I know that everybody's sort of Edmonston has been too small and they haven't used it in the past, but Cottage City has kind of broken off to their own. As technically, I don't want to operate the call bus, to be honest with you, Councilman, because we actually get off pretty cheap not operating it, because we don't have our staff does not have to man the phone and the
Right, right,
time that it takes, and even the
right,
driver would cost us
right.
more. So it's I mean, it's a service that in some ways that we've kept going, that a lot of the Prince George's County towns have had, and I've worked in a town where we actually had it, and it's one of those things that I was always thought was a holy grail. It's like a fifth grail of the town that people don't ever want to get rid of the call bus. But if it's something that council wants to talk about further, it's just something. I just don't think that right now we're $314,000 still short in the budget based on some new things. And I'd love to be able to give back. And I'm hoping, I guess my thought is that I'm hoping that the town can make these employees whole in the fiscal 26, that I'm working, in fiscal 27, as we look at the year, that we would make these employees back to where they were and at least, help to get them, so that they didn't lose as much. I feel like the way that the economy is going right now, and that several federal employees have lost their jobs, which are our residents, that not taking a cut on admin would I think would have been a slap in the face to residents who have lost their jobs. And I feel it as a someone who's married to a federal contractor and who's lucky to still have his job, that I don't I and I've talked to my we've talked to my staff about it a little bit, but I feel lucky to have my job. And I will say that I would do what I'm willing to give in, and I'm willing to give my portion of my salary to my other employees to stay. So I mean, for us not to have to cut a job. And I can't tell you what I would do otherwise to cut to get that 50 or $60,000 right now because of the 314 that I'm facing. I'm trying to figure out the 314 um, for this year still. So I don't know what to do. And I mean, we could make small changes to the events budget, but I just don't know that people really enjoy those events. And again, I wanted to make sure that the citizens still had something to enjoy and to celebrate in a time when, because when I look at the fireworks event, very few events are like we have free stuff, but we also are going to do this year to kind of cut down the cost to address what you're saying. We've been doing more partnerships with Park and Planning, and when we had the event that wasn't really that greatly attended at the Boswick House, we did actually though gain a partnership with them with working with Art on a Roll and some of these other events where they actually come out to events and do them for free. So they have the games and things like that. So we'll have to do less entertainment. The only issue that I have this year is that partially of the fireworks, it's funded in 25. We've actually funded a portion of it, half of it in 25 and then half of it in 26, like we do every year because we have to schedule for the fireworks 6 months out in advance. And that's just a practical issue with the fireworks that it was already covered under 25's budget for this event. Could we look at the way 26 would go and make it a little bit less scaled back? We could, and we can kind of do that and bring you some numbers. And then we can also look at sponsorships and also helping to bring in some money. Comar Manor has given us $3,000, and I'm actually talking to Rod at Edmonston to also help us as well. So we can work on bringing in some funds to help to defray those costs, so that we can help staff and hopefully build up enough reserves so that next year I don't have to make any of these choices, if that makes sense, Councilwoman. And I don't know if I didn't answer the questions, but I hope that helps.
Yes, yes. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Councilwoman McBride or Dixon. I know Dixon, you're on. I'm seeing your comments. I'm checking the things, and Councilwoman Dixon and Councilwoman McBride just also put in the comments that they appreciate staff, and we appreciate you guys. And I really do feel loved by this council, and I know that my staff feels appreciated and loved by the council. So, thank you, Councilwoman Dixon. No further questions. I appreciate it from you.
No, you pretty much answered what I had. Just hopefully that you all can find some other cuts so you can keep your salaries. That's just crazy to ask someone
Yeah.
to cut their salary to fix a budget. And if there's other means that you can cut, and because the way it was just presented at the meeting prior to, okay, council, I need you all to, council, we need to think more about what we're going to cut before we go in front of people to
Okay.
know, okay, that is going to be done. And because sometimes it come out, and I don't like stuff to just come out without me thinking, because it's
Okay. And you know what? I'll try to improve my communication on that because I think that would have been more helpful for you guys to see. We were just trying to address, I mean, I think Vito and I were really trying to address the matters as they came up and tried to basically try to give you guys some options to seeing it. But what we can also do, We have some, but we have and I still need to check in with our, with one of our grantees. We have funding to fund a position, um, for a green person for that green grant that we have. And I didn't use it yet because I didn't want to add a new employee. But what I can ask them is if there's a possibility that we can fund a portion of one of our employees' salary who's doing a lot of the work on it. And for that, which will then help to save some money for, staff in general on the admin side. So we can look at that, and then I can bring that back to the council to make a budget adjustment so that there's less of a cut to the admin staff in general. That may help to defray some of that. Does that make sense?
So to bring someone on,
No, not bringing a new person on. Split out a person that's already working and charge them to the grant. That would be the solution that I could help with it.
right, and if the grant run out, you'll still put them back on.
Yeah, they would still have their money, but this year to defray some of their costs to the grant, which
Actually,
would be.
that is, yeah.
So that's something that we've been considering it. It's just more the fact that I have to I've been trying to figure out this budget all year. I've been just trying to apply for new stuff, but I will check in with the MEA on that grant issue to see if we can do that versus hiring a new person, because I don't want to hire a new person in this situation right now that's a grant funded person, because I don't want to take that on with the fact that we'd have to let them go afterwards. So that's the question.
And this question might be for Regine. Like with the election, this year's election, with the funding, is that funding for this year's election? Will we speak in the budget? Because I'm thinking about the stamps. We know how you're gonna do the mail-in ballots. I mean, I know this can go, the mail-in ballots.
We have a set budget for the election that was not touched by any of the things, and it doesn't go to our normal postage budget. It is part of our elections budget. So we anticipated that. We did not touch the elections budget because and I'm sorry, Regime, to cut in on you, but
no worries.
But it's part of a printing cost issue that we have estimated, and we've done some spending in actually. Regime, tell them what you're doing now, because I think you could because I think that'll help what you've been working on.
So we've already ordered our boxes and a couple of things. I'm already working with the company with the software to start the partial deposits on the software for the election. So part of it is coming out of this budget. And we do have like Michelle was saying, there is a budget for elections separate from everything else. So we'll be okay with the elections, and it'll take care of the ballots, it'll take care of the software, it'll take care of the equipment, and we should be fine with everything.
Yeah, because I know seniors are not going to use their stamp to mail it back in. You won't get it. I'm just being honest.
We'll be here. We'll be here to help them.
Okay,
Yeah.
The ones that's not going to come out. I'm just trying to make sure everybody get a vote in.
And also the other thing, Councilwoman, and like what the council also approved, and Regime do you want to talk about the drop boxes, Regime, and the locations now, the secure drop boxes?
Yes, so we already ordered the drop boxes. There will be one here at Town Hall and one at the community center. We'll be installing them a few months, actually very soon, into front of both of them, as we're starting to get the candidate certificate and everything out for elections by the end of June.
Okay.
So that will help also, because what it'll do is it'll give the seniors, there'll be a place in Ward 1 and Ward 2 that you can do the drop off. And people, when they didn't trust the mail as much, having those drop boxes helps that way they don't even have to put a stamp on it. They just have to put it in that drop box, and we'll take it, and they'll be able to sign it.
Okay. Hope I ain't asked no stupid question.
No.
I throw it out there. That's all.
No, it's good.
I know. My things, they've always, I've been taught that no question is a stupid question.
No.
Especially a question for clarification. And hopefully the council does not come off as asking stupid questions when we're trying to ask questions to be careful for clarification. Sometimes we may ask it a couple of times in a couple of different ways or something, but people process things differently. So, but, hopefully that's not the depiction that we asking stupid questions.
Yeah. At least that's what AI said. I'm sorry.
One other question, the with the absentee ballots, how was that process improved and buttoned up?
Yep.
Yeah, with the absentee ballots.
Um, I'm I'm gonna start it and then let Miss Watson finish it. So as you remember back when we started in October of 2023, that whole post-election,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
Yeah.
stuff. So we started meeting, right before the 6 months before Miss Watson came on board with the Board of Supervisors of Elections to work on the manuals, which Miss Watson has brought to you. And we also worked on the issue of the absentee ballots. Actually, there's a whole policy and procedure, which then now I'm going to pass this off to Miss Watson because even though I know it, I know she knows it better. So Miss Watson, do you want to kind of give the improved and all the work that you've been doing with the Board of Supervisors of Elections on it? But I wanted to say it started since from as the postmortem from the election, and it has been worked on. So Miss
Yes.
Watson.
Yes, just to piggyback on what Michelle was saying, with the help of the Board of Supervisor of Election and Michelle, we've worked on our internal policy manual, which I think we brought to the council I believe in December, where the board presented you guys with the new ways of how we're going to run this election for 2025. And it included a timeline, how we're going to handle the absentee ballots, the drop box, who will be responsible for the access to those ballots, and how everything will pretty much run the election time. Everything, how we're going to do it from June when the candidate certificates are available until the election is done on October 6th. Also, in this Monday's packet, I don't know if you guys have looked at it yet, but you'll see that we also approved the judge's manual. That should be in the packet, as well as our new candidate certificate, so that people know how to fill out the application, what the qualifications is to be a council or mayor in the 2025 election. So we've actually,
Froze.
I'm sorry, did you guys lose me?
No, I see you. You were
No, not on mine.
Okay.
Frozen.
did Councilwoman Brown, would you like her to repeat anything? When did it freeze for you?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
But pretty much we are in my opinion, as the new town clerk, we are ready to go for 2025. We have a steady monthly meeting with the Board of Supervisors of Elections. We're working with our new ethics commission. We've already done training with them, and we're ready to go. So at the end of June, we're going to start seeing a lot of election things going on from now until our election day, October 6th.
Thank you, Ms. Watson. That's really helpful. I think then the other issue, just as for the council FYI, we have the signage up to say if we're closed or not closed as a town hall, so that we can have the mail delivered, and there will be no mail delivery issues as well on that day. So that's the only other thing. So that we can receive mail on election day. So we have mitigated that issue as well. The last one I just see is that Councilwoman McBride put in, can any nonprofits come and help to sponsor anything for the town? We are really looking at trying to expand that, Councilwoman McBride, as far as to get to work with nonprofits and to work with local organizations to do more partnering as we go through everything. We're not trying to do everything by ourselves. And we've been working really hard with a bunch of different groups that are locally to try to do to do sponsorships and also just do partnerships, so we're not doing everything by ourselves. And Chief, I know you guys, I just thought about there's some other groups that have come to you that have been working on different events with the police department, and I think the police I'd say police is a really good example of that. And Councilwoman Dixon was like, can we get businesses to sponsor? It's something that we want to put together, and we'll bring a sponsorship packet to the council for events. I found in my old files that there was one that we had previously done. So we'll dust it off, clean it up, and bring it to you as a policy so that we can, officially have some guidelines for the council to at least understand and bless for sponsorships. But I know the chief already does some light sponsorships, but just so that we have a townwide and just, an updated townwide policy. You guys do some light sponsorships, don't you, Chief?
We do like shop with a cop
Yeah.
and some other events. We do trunk or treat.
Yeah.
So yes.
Yeah, and so we'll bring something to the council that's a little bit more up to date for, let's say, if you want to get a title sponsor of something, especially because we're looking at the 250th anniversary of our country in 2026. So, I mean, we're all going to party like it's 1976. That's how I think about it. Even though I was two, I want to party like I was 2 years old again. So it's going to be a big year.
I don't know. When you're looking at what's going on with the economy and everything, so everybody got to do things a little bit more responsibly
I think
this
they're going to
year.
be more responsible too, Councilwoman. I'm just
Yeah, yeah,
thinking but the president's talking about a big military parade in DC. I mean, come on.
yeah,
He,
Yeah.
yeah,
he got
Yeah.
the
yeah,
All the
money, we
streets
don't.
hold up.
yeah.
He got the money, we don't.
That's
Right.
right.
Yeah, right, right. I know. We want to do a whole lot of events, but we, like you said, just be more responsive and
We will.
collaborating with other, yeah, than just trying to,
We'll have a
be.
watch party. We'll have a watch party in the town hall of the of fireworks. We can have a watch party.
Yeah, yeah, so many fireworks going all around us, but they're trying to, yeah, doing collaborations. It's just always good and stuff, so help dollars stretch further.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, the one good thing that we've done recently, and I think that we're going to continue to do this with the port towns, is that we've started to collaborate on, let's say, our Earth Day and some of our functions that we do more readily. And so moving that we're also looking at, and I think I put it in your memo about the business roundtable, is to move that to the port towns roundtable so that we're not just, and also to expand our reach. So we don't have to do everything ourselves because we're the biggest. I think that, you know, working with each other really helps. And I've really tried to collaborate a lot more with those town managers. So we're going to start working more with them because I don't have all the money in the world. So trust me, I've made it very clear to everybody. We don't have a lot of money, but we got a lot of willpower.
And I was also
Yeah.
thinking for that 40, was the 45th anniversary next year for us, that we as a council can help put that together and not already together and then say, here, this is what we're gonna do. Because we might have ideas for that big celebration next year ourselves, but because a lot of times things are put together, talked about, and we get it
Yeah.
at the last minute and we have
Right.
no say so.
Okay.
And I'm
You
speaking for
talking about
myself.
you saying
I
the
mean, for next
250?
year, for
Yeah, for the
for the
250. Yeah.
yeah, for
Okay.
250. I'm sorry, I said 45th. I'm thinking about Emerson
I was
House.
like 45th.
I was thinking about Emerson House. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But yeah, the 25th that we all get together and collab on how that's gonna look opposed to thrown at us and say, hey, this is what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
I
And
think we
and
all might go ahead.
no, you're right. Because we did apply for some money from the state because there is some money that they have for 250s around the state, and we did get it for the academy. And I also applied for 4,000 for an event, just because I know we already have our event to try to get them to subsidize our event a little bit too. So I haven't gotten an answer on that one yet, but I did when they had money available. I did ask for the maximum on that. So I will continue to keep the council informed on like whenever there's an opportunity for some money, I try to get it. So I'll keep you up to date on that too.
Just like McBride said, you have nonprofits that you have a lot of people that probably would give money for it. So I
Yeah.
just want to be in a loop on that, opposed to just throwing, this is what we're gonna do, this is how it's gonna look. Oh, we
Yeah,
want this, we want that. Hope the whole council get together and discuss how it should look, opposed to.
Right.
I think so. Okay. I'm hearing you.
Yeah.
Well, happy Friday, everybody. Happy Friday.
Thank you. Thank
Happy
you.
Mother's Day
Happy
Yes. Happy
Mother's
Mother's
Day,
Day.
everyone.
Yeah.
to everyone,
Happy Mothers,
Mother's
happy
Day.
aunts, everything. All the
Yeah,
aunts,
Yeah.
all the mothers,
happy Answer.
everybody.
Yeah,
All the
yeah,
Yeah.
aunties, you get it.
Godmothers, aunties.
That's
yeah.
right. All the ladies, thank you. Because my sister, she's not a mom, but she's been a second mom to my daughter. So I always send her stuff on Mother's Day because she keeps me grounded.
Yeah.
Keeps me
Yeah.
grounded. So well, and thank you, Chief, and let Mrs. Collington know Happy Mother's Day to her
Yes.
as well.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
likewise. Happy Mother's Day, everybody.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you.
All right. If there's anything else, I guess we have to have an adjournment, even though we didn't do an opening. Does anybody want to adjourn the meeting and close it?
I so moved.
Second.
Okay. Anybody in favor?
All in favor,
in
let it be
favor.
known by the
Thank you.
saying of aye.
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 Ayes have it. Meeting adjourned.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great
Thank
day.
you, everyone.
All
All right.
right.
Thank
Thank
Have a
you.
you.
good
Thank
Have a
you,
good weekend.
Mrs. Bailey Hedgebeth. We appreciate,
Bye-bye.
Yes, thank
kind
you
of bringing
very
this,
much.
y'all, Ellie Jean pulling this together. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye bye.
Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye bye.